The third vertical is healthcare. Now, the biggest concern in a healthcare environment is the sources of interference from the biomedical equipments that are used on site, right? This is the biggest concern. RF interference, I would say, from the medical equipments, or you can say biomedical equipments on site. Now, this is going to cause a lot of interference because there are a lot of biomedical equipments in the hospital and they usually work on the ISM bands, which is the 2.4 gigahertz spectrum. Okay, so what is needed is a thorough spectrum analyzer to be used, and analysis needs to be done, not just one but at least multiple times. I would say at least 3 times. Do a sweep of the entire area, understand what all RF sources of interference there are in the network, and make a list of that. Because you will see that most of the biomedical equipments are working in the 2.4 gigahertz band, and it is likely that that the 5 gigahertz band is somewhat free of interference. So always design the network on 5 gigahertz, especially in a healthcare, because that is needed. Okay, because otherwise you will see a lot of interference happening in the with the biomedical equipments along with with the radios, and that's going to cause a lot of issues on the ground, because you do see that doctors are also carrying the handheld PDA, right? They have handheld PDAs devices to transfer the large files such as X-ray graphics. They actually transfer all these files back to the station. The nurses, they have they're also using medical radio cards, or they have medical cards, right? They also use this to send the patient data back to the nursing stations. Patient data, I'll just correct that, 1 second. The patient data has to be sent back to the nursing stations, right? So all these things are done on the Wi-Fi. So we have to make sure that there is less interference as much as possible, because a medical or a healthcare environment is very critical. Patients' lives are on the line. We cannot take any chances at that time. So when you do a spectrum analysis, don't do it just once. I would at least do it 3 times, and I would at least thrice sweep the entire area and understand what kind of interference sources are there, and then act accordingly. The best way to go ahead is do a design on 5 gigahertz, and then make sure that clients that work, doctors or the medical cards or anything that connects on the Wi-Fi is connecting on 5 gigahertz, so that there is least interference with the medical equipments out there. Thank you.